Speaking of trauma,
Laughing. You piece of... Well, that's as rough a take as we'll ever get. This isn't trailer trash.
Oh, sure it isn't. Oh, okay.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to an episode of Schlender 5 Talks About or something or other. I don't know.
Terrible name.
I'm never going to come up with a
Catchy
name. We got to put the think tank together, but I'm too busy being in the drink tank.
Ooh, drink tank.
Drink tank?
Drink tank. There
Drink
it is.
tank.
You just thought of it.
Oh, cool. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a drink tank. We're about a month out of the finale of The Last of Us TV show, the HBO Max one.
Yeah, really timely.
And you know what? We tried to get together earlier, but we ran into a whole host of technical problems vis-a-vis car accidents, faking our own murders for insurance money. Some of us had to go...
Now what I did.
No, that case is still pending, so I'm not allowed to talk about it.
That's right.
So we'll do a special when you're exonerated.
Tyler knew what it did.
the specials are much better when you're not exonerated.
You're right. Well, I'm trying to be optimistic. He's innocent.
Making a murderer, way more views.
Innocent until proven guilty over here. So
I'm going to get Netflix special.
And if I said it once, the system just doesn't work. So we're here to discuss our thoughts and reactions a month now outside of The Last of Us. We've had time to kind of sit and ruminate on it. Two of us have played the video games. Plumber and I have played the video games, and Maynard has not. So we thought that would be fun to get his take on it.
That's why we have him here?
I can't get him to leave.
I'm also the only one who agreed to watch this stupid show for you guys.
That's not true. Other people did. They just didn't want to come over. So
I did not ask you to watch the show.
I did.
Why?
Because I wanted to get a 4-person panel going, but it never really panned out.
I count as 2.
Yeah.
Me too. This is a
I
5-person
I
panel.
got my own camera.
Yeah. No, but I wanted originally to do it on like a Zoom thing and just so we could have done it in a timely manner. But it never really came to fruition, so here we are.
There's your peer behind the curtain.
And, yeah, okay. So in honor of our protagonist, Joel Miller, I will be having a Miller High Life.
His last name is Miller?
Are you
Yeah,
sure?
Joel Miller. This is his last name.
Are you sure?
What's Ellie's
Yeah,
last name?
Ellie Sadler. Yep. Spencer. Ellie Spencer. No.
Wait till she transitions.
Oh no. Elliot Spencer.
Ellie the orphan.
Solo. Ellie Solo, like in the Han Solo movie.
Skywalker.
So why don't we start? Which one of you wants to give a brief rundown of the plot real fast?
Oh, Plumber does.
Yeah, of course he does.
No, all right. So the year is about 2023. There are no smartphones because the world ended in 2003.
See, I
When
graduated.
all these fungus decided to grow out of people's skulls
The fungus among us.
and they turned them into zombies. And there's a guy who is how do you describe him? He's a hopeless piece of shit, and one day he gets offered a chance to drive a little girl across the country, and he begrudgingly does it,
Right.
and they fall in love along the way.
Yeah, very sketch.
Father-daughter love you.
They fall in love along the way.
We'll see where season 2 aids.
We'll get to season 2 later.
Oh yeah, let's not see where.
Yeah, we'll talk about season 2 near the end of this. So yeah, essentially it's your quintessential American road trip story.
American sex trip.
No, but you think about it, like a lot of Americans.
Beavis and Butt Kid to Mushroom America.
There is something about American storytelling that loves like road trips, and it's kind of the plot itself is secondary to the fact that it sets up character interactions.
What does Joel do for a living?
He was a handyman.
Like a plumber.
He was a construction
He did
worker.
like construction stuff.
Maybe some plumbing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Actually,
Sort of
when you're building a house, you actually bring in specialists for the plumbing and electricity.
You do.
So he would not have been involved in that at all.
But
What's your name's Plumber?
But
Not with a B.
so
So this is really a
my name
plumber
actually comes
against
from-
a Mushroom Kingdom.
My name actually comes from the French
I
word
get what you're
"fumeur"
trying
for
to-
feather
yes.
merchant.
I get what you're trying to do.
And he's Italian.
But it's the adaptation of the video game, and the video game is my favorite game of all time.
Lame.
No, dude, it caught me so off guard when it came out.
Yeah.
I was expecting just like another like popcorn Uncharted thing, but with zombies. And instead, I get like really well told emotional story. They use each season as a chapter with like a different theme, and it just works so well. There's so many good character moments. There's fun combat. It's just a really, really good game, and I was surprised. Well, I'm not surprised that they were going to adapt it, but I was cautious. But then I heard the guy from Chernobyl was going to do it, Craig Mattson or whatever his name is. and Maze and Matt's. I don't know. I don't care. And Chernobyl was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
It was so good. And I was afraid of hallways in that show because it was like, oh, that's radiation. Don't go there.
Always are scary.
And in the video game, it's spores.
Derek, you knew it wasn't radiation because the cameras weren't like fuzzing in and out.
Yeah. Also, the Russians say there were no radiation, so gotta take them at their word.
3.8 broken.
Yeah. So
Neither, not great, not terrible.
yeah. So I thought it was going to be an interesting adaptation for sure because the game itself like is pretty violent, and I thought that would make for some interesting TV in addition to violence and good character moments. And the TV show we got had great character moments, but I thought was awfully skimpy on violence.
I thought it was skimpy on both.
I thought there was the right amount of violence because they established very early in the show that beating a man to death really takes a toll on your body, and that he fractured his hand and he was deaf in one ear, and there were so many things wrong with his body from having killed so many people. Violence takes a huge toll on your body. So if it were like the video game and he were just running around hurling bricks at people,
Right. Not a single fucking brick in this show, by the way.
It should have just been the first episode where he beats a guy to death.
Yeah, he should have
grabbed
beat the
a
guy
brick.
with the brick. I mean, because the brick is the iconic weapon in the video game. You're always killing things with bricks.
It's not very efficient.
Bricks
Bricks are a lot softer than you think.
Well, yeah, but it's like, I mean, it's still cool.
That may be true. But I mean, as far as violence, I don't know how the video game sets it up.
Put a
but I
half
mean,
brick in a sock, you can kill just about anything.
The TV show shuts up that like Joel was very dangerous, and now he's older and he's not so dangerous anymore. A bit ageist, by the way.
Yeah.
TV show.
If you're a 56-year-old man, you're probably not the young killer you were at 35.
I've seen very dangerous 70-year-olds. I don't know if you know the Great Muda, but he could kill you where you stand.
I don't know. Well,
Just because you saw Gran Torino once doesn't mean
He was very dangerous in that
Yes,
too.
he didn't kill anyone.
I mean, he was socially dangerous. So maybe there was, I mean, he's a little violent in the first couple. I mean, obviously the flashback scene, I mean, he's whooping a lot of ass.
yeah, the flashback
there.
was very one-to-one like the game.
And
Except for that
that's-
exploding plane.
And that's him, being young. But the Joel we see is sort of, seem calmer, especially once he loses like his wife or girlfriend or whatever.
Oh, this is going to be all spoilers. Come on, it's been a month. You've had your chance.
I mean, then he really loses his edge after that. I kind of think he loses his will to live, and so he really loses a lot of his dangerous edge. Right.
I think
right
he'd
then and
already
there.
lost his will to live like 23 years ago, and he was just kind of
Going through the motions.
I would agree with, which is part of what bugs me about this show, because I'm very surprised that a person that lost his daughter in that circumstance would even try to keep going.
Well, remember, at the end...
It would be so difficult to survive.
Well, in the last episode, he talks about the time he tried to kill himself, and his body caused himself to flinch, and that's when he realized he couldn't do it, and that's why he has that scar.
That's stupid. That was one way he tried to kill him. Tried to shoot himself. If you want to kill yourself, you can do it. If
Yeah,
you
but
fail,
that's why he
you're
was-
not really trying.
Well, that's what he was saying, is he realized he didn't actually want to kill himself. That was the whole point of the failure.
But why?
Because he just didn't
There was
want
nothing
to.
to live for.
His daughter's memory.
Who
he
cares?
was
so the
going
story
around-
The
can
world is
happen.
going to be all
He
mushrooms.
was living for his
soon.
brother.
He
trying
was
to keep
living with his brother. He was going
alive.
around with Tommy, who was a
Yeah.
joiner and always getting into trouble. That little rascal. What a cute
You
little
know, I
rascal.
mean,
and then he met
maybe
Tess.
if he's banging a lot of apocalypse hoes,
he
then
met
I could
Tess.
see that
Yeah.
giving him some will to live. But look at that beat wife he had. And
Olivia
no one's
Dunham
lived-
would give me. Oh,
He
yeah.
fell into her vagina.
No one's.
There was a
living
line
for
in
that.
there was a line in Fringe, remember, with Faux Olivia?
And he fell right into her agenda.
Agenda?
Peter fell right into her vagina. Walter says, it's funny. Anyways,
I don't remember that. But that's
I
funny.
do, yeah. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, but him.
So that's where I say his first character pieces. I never understood Joel's motivation, except that he just seems to be going along because the plot needs to move.
Well, he was trying to find his brother. Remember? His brother disappears into the Fireflies. Joel's worried about him. That's the whole reason they take the contract, was so that way they could get like a battery, so they could power a car, so they could drive out to Wyoming to
Tommy.
try and find Tommy.
Yeah.
That's the whole driving force in the show.
Yeah, that's true.
It's him trying to get to his brother, which is fine. And then
what steps did we ever see him taking to try to get a battery prior to it falling into his lap?
It's the whole first episode. That's the thing he and Tess were trying to get, was the battery. That's why
It's
she
the entire first
it's the
episode.
yeah, but
whole
how long
first
has he not seen
episode.
Tommy? Like
They haven't heard
10
they
years?
No.
They
So
haven't
he
heard
used
from
to
on the
radio
radio
in
in 3 weeks.
He used to radio him in, and then he wasn't radioing anymore, and that's why he was getting concerned. So it was admittedly like a rush job to get the battery, which is why they fell for the ruse, which is why you have the whole setup where they
The guy sold the battery to, like,
to the
3 people.
Fireflies. Yeah, he kept selling a bum batteries.
He should have joined the Fireflies when his brother did.
Nah, that's not Joel's motivations. He doesn't want to join them. Remember, like he was doing his own thing. But
It's confused.
it's the first episode does a lot of telling, not showing, admittedly. So I can understand why you'd be like, I don't remember that dialogue. You'd remember it more if it was a more powerful scene. And I think the show does a lot of telling people things rather than showing them. My biggest problem is his development, the relationship with Ellie, because they're telling us they're getting close. We see a few good scenes here and there. I don't want to make it sound like there's not. But the pacing of the show and the way they placed like a few of those bottle episodes, they really, like the third episode, which everyone loves, and admittedly I liked a lot too. When rewatching it, it is so awkwardly placed in the show because it's like, oh, okay, Joel and Ellie are striking out on their own. It's going to be an episode about the two of them bonding. And instead it cuts to two other characters who really their big contribution is, oh, there's a battery and you got to remind Joel that he's driven by the need to save people.
Well, its big contribution is world building. You could see that despite this apocalypse happening, life is continuing for some people fairly normal.
It was
Right?
better,
I mean, except the fact that they're fenced in, they seem to have what their life would have been if they lived in isolation. They went shopping, they had a lot of dinner parties.
They had dinner parties, yeah. In the game, it's different, though, because Bill's not dead by the time they get there.
Oh, yeah.
So you do. That was awesome, though. But it was like a really good, because he's very gruff and angry. And, Frank goes off and, kills himself. And,
You know my theory about Frank.
yes. But
He's not gay, Plumber.
he doesn't think Frank's gay. He thinks
Faked it.
He's gay for pay.
Yep. He faked it for years to get food and shelter and protection.
some delicious rabbit with a red
As
wine.
soon as they're that third episode, as soon as they were like in bed that first time, I'm like, no, Bill, he's lying.
My only problem.
You caught a random man in your hole, and it turned out he's the only other gay man in the apocalypse.
So,
Put two and two together, Bill. You made him a delicious dinner, and then he sucked your dick. I mean,
So it's actually quite the opposite. The actors.
.com.
You think Frank's not gay, but he's gay in real life, and Nick Offerman's not gay in real life, so he's gay in the show. So it's actually they swapped kind of what you. If it was
I
your
can't see
theory.
why Bill would have been faking it. I saw no advantage to that. No, it's not like he's.
Relationship. But it doesn't matter. I don't.
My big
Bill never
problem-
struck me as needing that.
My big problem with that relationship was there's so much fucking hair. Like when they kissed, it was just like, and I was like,
the hair.
stop it. And then he opened
Maybe
his
it's
shirt,
not our
and I'm
thing,
like,
though.
stop it.
Maybe it's not our
Stop
thing.
all that hair.
As an official bear daddy,
And then I could just picture their pubic hair.
Oh,
just like
don't do that.
I thought you were a
entangling.
cocaine bear.
I can be both. It depends on the day.
Again, I mean, maybe that's their thing. I don't know.
But that
How could that be any?
Well, one, I'll tell you, maybe bear
are
and
into
bear
bears.
is not
People are into bears.
usual. But
They have a
in an
whole bear
apocalyptic
weekend at Pride.
in
Yeah,
an
but they don't
apocalyptic
have-
situation, you do what you got to survive.
They have hairy chests, but they don't usually have beards.
I don't know. We'll have to let us know in the comments below.
Are you a
All
bear?
right, time to Google bear daddy definition.
I think without I understand it being narratively weirdly placed. It's also the only episode anyone talks about. So if that had come episode 6, 7,
They
is
still
that
wouldn't be talking about
too late
No.
to pull people onto the bandwagon? I think so. You drop it 3, you get people talking, people start tuning in and watching it all the time. And that's what put the show on the map. No one watched episode 1 and 2.
Dude, actually, the show picked up viewers per episode. That's what happened. Is each episode picked up more and more viewers.
Because
But I would think
of 3.
I don't know because
Otherwise, you'd have given up on 4 because it'd been like, this is dull.
I've
seen Pedro do this before with a much cuter kid.
that's true. Yeah.
It's the Mandalorian.
I know.
But so I think it's just when watching again that third episode is awkwardly placed. And I definitely think the flashback to the Ellie's flashback as episode 7 is a little awkwardly placed. Now, granted, we need to show
I like that episode a lot too.
I like it a lot as well.
Because I like seeing those side stories of what else happens in an apocalypse. My problem is similar to my problem with Joel. She and her best friend basically got a lover. Both get bit at the same time. She assumes she's gonna die.
There should be more than one monster though. For them
And if her
not to pick the
friend
one, come on.
turns first, because that's what I
They
assume.
did beat it.
Yeah, but at
They
what
didn't
cost?
Right. They didn't show us the transformation and
No,
what happens.
No, she talks about it later, though. She mentions it twice. She
Right.
mentioned it earlier where Joel's like, is that the first person you've ever had to kill? And she goes, no.
No.
And then she
Right.
tells him later.
Okay, exactly. And I don't understand this motivation. Your lover and you both get bit. In your mind, you're 100% both dead. Your lover turns before you and tries to kill you, and you kill your lover? You spend what you think your last few minutes on Earth before you transform. You spend it killing your lover? Nah, Ellie would have let the girl kill her. Show over.
Kill the person who was trying to violently eat her.
Yes.
Yeah, you have no... Well,
They would have been together in mushroomdom, which is already what they accepted
Well,
being.
yeah, but-
because they could have shot
No,
She
themselves.
wouldn't have gone to mushroom
They-
dump if she got eaten alive.
Yeah,
They
well,
could have shot
Yeah,
themselves.
you have to die a heroic death in order to hit
You
Mushroom Hollow.
don't have to die a heroic death.
No, what
as
you
long as-
forget though is that they cover this when she says when she talks about her friend starting to turn, but she wasn't. She could see that it wasn't spreading. She saw it spreading in her friend, but not in her, which is why she's like, something's not quite right.
See,
here.
they did another thing they did in dialogue.
Exactly.
Stop
It's
telling
all
and
dialogue.
show.
That's what I said. I said
Show
it's too
don't
much.
tell.
I said it's too much.
Rush
tell.
made a whole song about this. It's like a
It is-
basic
it is a
storytelling
lot of-
thing.
yeah, no.
Because I listened to very little of what they said.
It's quite apparent.
It wasn't interestingly done.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's not even a lot of walking and talking, and it's very, very flat.
And you
camera.
got to remember too, I didn't watch the game or I
Yeah,
didn't play the game.
so it's
And
less interactive
If this
for
is
you.
stuff the game explained to you and you went in knowing, it's like reading the book.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't have to read your book to enjoy your movie. I shouldn't
No,
have to play
I
your game
agree
to enjoy
with you.
your show.
And I agree with you, but like my parents, they watched it and they enjoyed it, but they're not familiar with the game. So
But they like Vaseline on toast.
God, they do. They like all the Paranormal Activity movies.
Hey, I do too.
I know, we've covered this before.
Especially that Japanese one. Go watch the Japanese one.
But it was so the show I think did a remarkable job because it also does not have it has a decent sized budget. But your options then are, how do you spend the budget? Do you make it an action show with slight character development, or do you do more of a character development show with some action stuff? Because you can't spend your money on set pieces and CGI on HBO, especially when you consider the fact like HBO has been not well run for a while now.
Yeah, you see that in House of Dragons,
So
right?
I liked House of Dragons.
Yeah, but their CGI sucks. So they made
their
their
CGI
choice.
does kind of yes, exactly. You make your choice. You make your
Made
choice.
their choice. I liked the effects though. Last, I won't complain about anything about the effects. The effects were pretty much there. They were pretty much.
They're
decent.
adequate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plumber, you look like you've got something to say. Do you?
Nope.
Okay.
Then he agrees with everything we have to say.
He stopped listening a while ago.
That's got to be it. Otherwise, he'd be saying something. So he must agree.
I will say I really enjoyed the last episode, as it felt very accurate to the game for me.
Then the game's.
The game's great. The game is great, Sarah. You can say it's
Then
as much as
the
you
show
want, but-
doesn't match. You've
It
got,
doesn't. No, that's
you've
what
got
I'm getting
Joel
at.
who's limping and wheezing and dying his whole way through the show. He can barely fight off a 14-year-old boy without Ellie's help. He gets stabbed by another cowboy he
Yeah.
runs into randomly. He admits, even to his brother Tommy, I
getting
listened
too
to that
old for it.
dialogue,
Yeah.
I cannot protect this girl. I am a piece of shit. And I'm not strong enough. I'm too old. At the ripe old age of 56, put me down now.
Well, he didn't say put me down.
Put me down now.
He says he's too old to know if he can go on this kind
Exactly.
of extended
And
quest.
then in the final episode, he goes through a hospital full of 20, 30 armed other guys and kills all of them.
Yeah, that's
He goes running riot.
Right.
He goes rampage, actually.
They should have established. That's why I was saying it would have been nice to establish his violence earlier in the show, so that way when he does this at the end, you would have had it would have been almost like a bell curve. You would have had the violence at the beginning being kind of like over the top, because that's how the game starts. It starts with an over the top action sequence. Remember when they go to get the pills back at the very beginning, and then it comes full circle at the end with like that huge kill 'em all moment. And I have a soft spot for shows and narratives that end with the kill 'em all moments. I'm always rooting for a kill 'em all moment. I'm always rooting for a kill 'em all
then
moment.
establish Joel as a more
Right,
dangerous guy.
They should have. But
Still.
instead they did it through dialogue as opposed to his actions. He never fights more than 2 or 3 people at a time.
So
and
he
does a
tells
bit-
people how dangerous he is and never shows it?
Yes.
I'll tell you how dangerous I am, too. I could kill 20 dudes in a hospital.
Well,
There's another
If
one.
guns are being shot in the hospital, everyone is deaf at the moment.
Yeah, everyone's
All
deaf
people are
there. So
If
yeah.
there are 20 people in a hospital and you don't know who's coming around the corner, the guy coming around the corner who can shoot everyone is going to shoot first.
Yeah.
The guys waiting around the corner don't know if they're going to shoot right away. It's very simple
There's
math.
people on other floors who aren't deaf.
Well, there aren't
They know.
But there's never more than like
someone's
3 or
coming.
4 people in any
But
any
who do
given
they-
scene.
who do they know is
They don't
coming?
know who's shooting though. They don't know if it's one of their guys or somebody else. All he knows is that when he takes the corner, it's go time, which is fine.
If I'm hearing gunfire and someone's turning the corner, I'm shooting.
So you're going to shoot all your friends? Maybe that's how some of them died.
Hey,
Maybe.
it's the post-apocalypse, man. There ain't gonna be no investigation.
We don't really see a lot of like who shoots who in that. I mean, like the hallway stuff is just everything going off. So maybe there was some friendly for people getting shot in the back. We don't know. It's not important. That's not the part that's important.
We don't even see it.
The important part, we saw enough of it for it to matter, to get the idea of it, for it to be like, this is a narrative, I can follow the sequence, I follow
This
the
guy
action
doesn't even like the
sequence.
ending of Taxi Driver. Show
Never-
me the shootout.
I've never seen Taxi Driver.
See, and you're gonna listen to some unforgiven love.
I tell you, I like the ending of a few taxi videos I've seen.
Taxi?
Quite a difference.
But the
love
point,
Andy Kaufman.
the point is, at the end of the first season, much like the end of the first game, when Joel lies to Ellie about the cure, right? When he's like, they have a bunch of kids, they've tried it, it doesn't work, and she's like, Joel, I watched my friends die. Because I'm pretty sure in the game it's more than one friend who dies. I don't think it's
sure.
just the one person until they did the DLC. And I never played the DLC because the game had been out for a while after that.
didn't play it either.
Yeah. So, but she's like, and if I can help prevent someone from going through that horrible experience like I did, I would gladly sacrifice myself. So I need to know, is it true? And he goes, yes. And you see her, her eyes dart back and forth real quick.
This is the game.
And in the show. And she kind of resigns herself and she looks at Joel and says, okay. And she knows he's lying.
You
And
said
that's-
you had told me there was something missing in translation from the game to the show in that moment.
in that moment?
Yeah. And that she believes him a little too readily in the show, where she comes off as more skeptical in the game.
She's dead.
Tell them about that.
Well, I kind of just did, but in the show, I think it's and we've had this conversation, you and I. My biggest complaint about the show is I think Bella Ramsey's not the perfect choice for Ellie. Now, the first couple episodes when you and I did a review, I didn't think she was going to be able to carry her weight whatsoever. But as the show continued, I thought she really did a much better job. Like her interactions with Sam. The little black boy. That stuff was awesome, and I thought she did a really good job there, and I believed her in those
Did you
moments.
have to say black?
He's a little black boy.
He was also deaf, I think.
He was deaf, yeah.
All the
You
way
could have
deaf.
said the little deaf boy.
Yeah, little deaf boy.
The little deaf black boy. I'm
Boy.
not worried about offending the deaf.
See,
community.
now, man, we don't agree on anything. I thought Bella Ramsey was my favorite thing about the show, ultimately. I
respectfully disagree.
I liked her a lot more than Pedro. I thought a lot of people could do Pedro's job, and I don't know if I knew a lot of child actresses that could do Ellie's.
If we went back in time, the girl from True Grit.
Yeah, maybe, like, because she instantly has a toughness about her. It's the chin. She could take one on the chin. She looks sturdy.
Yes, but
she doesn't come off as
Ellie-
weak
She's
or
got that
dependent.
Bruce Campbell.
Yes.
Give her a chainsaw.
If shins could kill.
Maybe, I hope she grows into it at some point, because it'll make getting acting gigs very hard later. As a kid right now...
That's funny, because I thought her acting was as flat as her shovel face. So,
Say, okay.
no, I'm joking.
I love the show Mask. Or that movie.
I didn't even know.
Jim Carrey?
No,
that's the Mask.
The one with the kid with elephantitis. It's a thing. But
I watched Unforgiven too many times. now, Plum, you've seemed like you haven't agreed with a lot of things. I want to hear your thoughts. What did you like about the show?
I didn't. I individually, the problem is, to me, the show kind of devolved into individual episodes, and I guess adding the 2 episodic episodes kind of does that. And I mean, realistically, every episode was an individual thing, except the 2 Sam episodes and the 2 beginning episodes. Those melded together. The Sam and Henry in Kansas melded together, but those were cut in between by Bill and Frank, which I thought it was a cool, like, anthology episode. But as, like, a zombie apocalypse thing, like, it's just 2 dudes who grow to love each other and then die. It was interesting. I liked the characters a lot. It didn't say anything to me about the world. The first episode was, I thought kind of boring.
Yes.
Like,
I think most of them are.
I thought it didn't establish anything that I wasn't already expecting / no. They gave him a purpose. They showed a little bit of Ellie being chained up. None of that really mattered to me. The second episode I actually really liked. I thought that was a really good episode because even though I've played the games and I know what's going to happen to all 3 characters that are in the episode, when they were walking through the museum, like even before they got to the monsters, I felt real tension. Despite knowing what was going to happen, essentially, I felt tension for the characters. I felt like the space itself was scary and kind of claustrophobic, and like, you know, there could be monsters around any corner, and I actually felt that like inside of me. And then when they panned down and you saw like all of the fungi people writhing against that building, that was one of the coolest shots in the show to me. I loved that shot.
That's kind of the last time they talk about them all being related by tendrils, though. It's that second episode, and we never really see it again, do we?
We see a couple little things where people, like, I think she steps on a tendril at one point, but not really, no.
Yeah, no, because that would have been a good callback when they were in Kansas City. Like, they should have shown, like, a truck roll over, like, a tendril, and that's why all the guys came out of that one house.
Well, I mean, they were making a ruckus.
They were, true. But they established that, like, it looked like they were going to break through underneath that building in the middle of the city, not in the suburbs.
Yeah.
So it would have been neat to incorporate the tendril some more.
But no, so after the Bill and Ted episode, that kind of broke things up. I really liked the Kansas City episodes.
Bill and Ted's sexual adventure.
I love I loved Sam and Henry. I thought that was the best part of the show because it gave Ellie and Joel something to do.
They're like dark mirrors to the show.
Exactly. Yeah. And I loved Ellie relating to the kid. I loved seeing Joel just snipe all those dudes.
That was awesome. That was
and
good.
Then when the bloater came out, I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, the boomer was waiting for him to fall down and explode into a bunch of mushrooms.
It was a bloater.
Yeah,
but yeah, I was waiting for him to throw a spore.
Yeah, me too.
But instead he just goes,
rips that guy's face
I
off.
was like, yes. And Karen got her comeuppance.
I didn't like that they used like a little girl clicker thing. Like, I was like, this feels like, you know, I don't know.
Why?
It just looked silly.
Apparently she's like a gymnast or like a contortionist.
I've seen enough creepy little kids in my day. I didn't need it in this show.
Yeah, but I mean, how else are you going to crawl through? It doesn't matter.
But I think
the bloater just ripped the back of the truck open.
But I think one of the reasons you think it's, or you feel, and I agree with it, is that it's so kind of standalone or anthological is, with the exception of Ellie and Joel, almost no characters were introduced carry much into another episode, right? You've got the evil leader of the town, and they're conveniently all wiped out. And I'm kind of like, what the hell? We just introduced them. Why did we develop them? You're just going to kill them. Sam and his brother, we introduced them just to kill them off.
Yes, but that was the point, though. That was an important part because they're
Bill
analogous.
And Frank, introduced just to get killed off. What's her name's little friend? Introduced just to get killed off. The rapist priest, introduced just to get killed off.
The 2 best characters in the show, introduced, not killed off.
Who?
The Native Americans in that house.
They were the best.
They were the best.
But we never
characters in
see
the
him
show.
again, though. Right?
No, but they were great. That was so great. That was like a great
I mean, if
addition.
we ended up running into them later, sure, but...
Let me get you some soup. You made soup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My only
Are you lying to
dangerous?
them? No. Are you lying to me? No.
my only problem with that scene is because Joel then, that's the first time Joel does the show me on the map and it better be the same place that your wife said, which is what he does to the 2 guys he has tied up to the chair. Now, it takes a little bit of the weight out of it because we're like, oh, we've seen him do this before. Because in the game, it only happens when he has like the 2 henchmen tied to the chair and it's like, it better be the same place your buddy did. And in that point, you know there's real malice to it. I didn't believe there was real malice between the guy and the wife, so I didn't like seeing that played out twice.
No, there wasn't, but I was fine with it.
It's still a good scene. It's still a good, but I'm just saying for me personally.
No, I love that scene. I
that-
loved everything about that scene.
I remember
I
that.
don't
Well, I
care.
remember that line from the game, and I remember how much violent intent was behind it, and to see him use it on these 2
that's so dumb.
I don't know.
That's so dumb.
No, it mattered to me. I'm telling you, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, he.
No,
I just loved every second
I
of
didn't like
that
that he
movie.
does it
if it's a strategy for him getting info, he would do it every time he's trying to get info.
Yeah, because that's his go-to.
I just didn't feel it was menacing in that scene.
It wasn't
It's not supposed to be menacing that
because
first
they were
time.
clearly being nice to him, and he was clearly like, "Ah, man, I can't actually do anything to these people."
and
And they knew it. They knew he wasn't going to do anything to them because that lady was just like giggling.
And he
I
was
do
mad
think
that
it's
they stole
stupid
the
for
rabbit.
him to go, I believed him, though. I thought it was stupid the second time, where it's like, at least get them both to confirm and then kill them both. Because what if the first guy's lying?
I like the I believe
Didn't
the first
he get
guy.
them both to?
No, he just killed.
No, he kills the second guy. First off, he kills the
right.
first guy before he even asks the second guy. In which case, I'm probably just going to lie to you because you're going to kill me anyway. So I'm probably just gonna try to like lead you off if I can.
But yeah, so for me, to lead back to like what I liked and what I didn't, I liked individual episodes of the show. Right. I liked episode 2. I liked episode 5 a lot. 4 was good. Yeah. 3 was good. 1 was kind of boring. But
long,
6 was also kind of boring. Like when they're in the town with Tommy, and I'm just like, I'm not really learning much about any of these characters except like Tommy's wife is very like get the fuck out of here, and the town was cool. I liked the town, but at the same time, I'm like, meh. Yeah, like they're keeping people away. I loved episode 7.
The flashback, the Left Behind.
Yes, I thought that was one of the best episodes of the show.
Really?
I was following them the whole time, and I was into it. I was enjoying watching their characters just go around, and at the same time I was like, stop it, because I know it's gonna happen, and so like I'm feeling
that's when they're in the mall.
That's when they're in the mall. Yeah,
I liked that one too.
I liked that one more than episode 3, honestly.
I liked it. I liked it, and especially I liked Bella Ramsey in it because watching her play like youthful and exuberant in that one, I really enjoyed. That I was like, oh, so they are going to give her some range and like let her do things. I don't know if it was just the writing or they were just like they liked a lot of like the one take she did, but I really didn't.
They had a lot of chemistry together.
I didn't. Yes,
the two.
And I didn't really think there was a whole lot of emoting from. Well, there's not a lot of emoting in a show that's supposed to be hyper emotional.
Right. Well, I also felt that it gave me a good understanding of how Ellie grew up, like who she actually was.
Right.
Because she was an orphan who grew up in this Fedra military school, and then was dealt with this life-changing event when when her closest friend
joins the Fireflies,
joins a terrorist group, and she has to make a decision between the two, and it's just such a conflict in her head. While
freedom fighters,
they were not. They're all bad guys in the show, though. There's no heroic figures in the show except people who live out on the.
Which is why people are like, why wouldn't Joel let them kill her to make a cure? What do you think the Fireflies are going to do with the cure? You think they're going to go around and go, here you go, here you go.
Exactly.
Well, they're going to cure all the Fireflies, and then they're going to
rise to power.
Well, then they're going to, I would hope, popularize, join us, and we have the cure.
Join us, or we'll send these tendrils into your city.
And then everyone smart's going to take the
Or
cure.
we'll dig a hole into your city and pop tendrils up.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not forget, Fedra wasn't a good group either.
If Ellie bit someone, would they turn into?
There's a great question.
I think they say yes.
But she doesn't have it
She
at all because
implies
the dog smells her and doesn't smell anything.
Well, because it's not in the
So
brain.
I'd say she doesn't have any.
So dogs
I
can
don't
only
think she has it.
smell brain mushrooms.
I guess
Is that
so.
what you think? I think.
I don't know.
I
Does
think
she
they
have
ne-
mushrooms in her body?
No, because she does have some of the tendrils in her. Yeah,
She has a scar.
No, those are the
I
tendrils.
When it was
haven't
cut
seen
open, you could
tendrils.
see like
Yeah.
white goop.
Yeah. So
I wanted to just like start pulling it out and see how long. Like oh, that'd be awesome.
a very special episode of Dr. Pimple Popper.
Exactly, just like a line of like fun. Oh, that'd be so cool. Ah.
Yeah, overall, I was pretty pleased with season 1. I mean, like we said, there were some issues. Like all these complaints that I have about it were not enough to dissuade me from watching it.
No,
So it's like it's not as I recommend the game much more, but if you don't have access to the game, this is like a fine watered down. It's different. They're not the same characters.
The game has literally hundreds of more character interactions between Joel and Ellie.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah, it's a much different thing. This is a companion piece almost. It's like it's a different interpretation. The characters aren't.
It's not even really a different interpret. I guess the characters are slightly
Joel's a little different in this
Say
show.
if you got to pick watching this show or some other show, I would consider some others because I don't
like
think
House of the Dragon.
I would actually. I did watch House of the Dragon
love
after
House
we
of the
discussed
Dragon.
it, and I'd say yes.
I loved House of
It's
the
probably
Dragon.
the best Game of Thrones season.
It is.
Individual
I love
standalone
it.
season.
It is,
because
but
a lot
love it.
happens.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about that. But
Never
There's-
talk about that.
the game is a gamification of already a very tropey concept. The zombie post-apocalypse with the sort of lone wolf and cub, adult escorting the child
Right.
through a dangerous
Adult
thing.
escort.
And
Yes.
and a blue collar man fighting mushrooms.
Only adult escorts, please remember. No more child escorts for you.
And a blue collar man in a mushroom kingdom, like you said earlier.
Yes. So you've seen this. I mean, you've seen it's zombie apocalypse again with Lone Wolf and Cub.
Right.
Logan, Mandalorian. We've already
Actually,
seen it with
Logan is the best version of The
Pedro.
Last of Us.
so you've seen this story, and everything about it's very tropey. I mean, the government's evil, and it turns out the freedom fighters are evil, and again, you really never get any characters to attach to. So
The two brothers. I was attached
the
to
whole
them.
thing, I didn't care at all about Tommy.
not
So the
Tommy.
whole, we said two brothers. Who are the other brothers?
To
Salmon.
describe them as Derek would, the black ones.
Oh, the black. You should have said Black Brothers, and I wouldn't know who you were talking about immediately. Oh, you meant the brothers. I'm sorry, Derek. Very tasteless of you. I apologize for him, folks. But yeah, I don't think there's anything new discovered here about this genre. I don't think they delve into anything. I think one of the few things that's interesting was like the Bill and Frank episode, because you don't get to see life unaffected much in those post-apocalypse stories, like who lived just fine. You see a lot of the Fury Road of people who live under the tyrannical thumb of a madman. There's a little bit in the Road Warrior of what's this whirligig helicopter guy do all the time when he's not helping Mel Gibson. But we don't delve into it a lot. It turns out he did have a gay relationship on the side, if you've seen the Road Warrior. But like, what was he? You don't see that slice of life. And that's also what I liked about the mall episode. You don't see that slice of life because presumably the zombies aren't part of every day, you sure hope, or you wouldn't even want to live. You've got to have some good days. And this is also a very zombie lacking zombie world.
They kind of forget about him after Kansas City.
Unless you go outside and start turning a siren, you're unlikely to run into one of these goddamn things.
Well, see, they should have done something in winter. Like I believe it's in the game.
Well, winter is coming.
I know. I believe in the game there's that sawmill thing where she meets the cultists and they fight off a wave of infected together, and that's how they bond. The show could have used that. Just one more thing. I don't need him in the end run because it's not about them at that point in the end run. It's like a people thing, and so
there was a lot of criticism for that cultist episode too. I think it was your boy Rainn Wilson.
Who?
Dwight from The Office. Right?
Oh.
He was like, as soon as that guy stood reading from a Bible, I was like, he's a bad guy. And well, you're right. It's really transparent. A lot of stuff in this show is, again, because it's so tropey, it's transparent. I knew that wife was gonna die basically episode 2, and I never played the game. I knew that cultist guy was gonna be like nothing but bad news. As gentle as the show tries to make him seem, for like half the episode, they really push. And I'm like, oh no, he wants to save this girl because he wants to make her a bride. And he does, he literally does. I'm like, no. It was very, very transparent. Right. One of the things that wasn't that see-through was that that Bill and Frank got to have kind of a happy ending, which I didn't expect. I thought they were not that kind of happy ending. We're not talking about your child escorts.
I thought you were talking about when they died horribly.
It is a happy ending. They didn't get eaten by zombies or ripped apart by marauders or anything. They're old and they die warm in their beds. We should all be so lucky. They reached 56, which is about as old as you can get in this universe.
They were older than that.
I know
they were older than
they
that.
are.
Yeah.
He was like 50 when he was living in his mom's basement.
I like
what
that.
happened to his mom?
I like.
She was also living in the basement.
She's in the attic. Mother?
I'm lying to my own friends, mother.
We got to fix up this town. Let's start with the motel. So,
and how do they live in that town for, 20 years, and the boutique still has clothes?
Probably because they didn't go to the boutique often.
well, also, no, you know how they were able to stay alive is because every time somebody approached the flamethrower fence, instead of walking backwards, they ran right into it.
Yeah.
They literally show a guy running into a flamethrower.
It's
like,
lucky
stop
that
it. The
every
flamethrowers
zombie dude, when he hits the tripwire, decides to
Looks
stop
at
and
the
go,
thing, yeah.
oh, bang! Like,
It's fine. I don't care about it that much.
yeah, the specifics of that one, I was like,
Yeah, there was a lot of technical
how many
flaws.
holes were out there for people to fall into?
they keep falling into the same hole.
no,
There's not even a cover
I
over it
keep
anymore.
catching the same gay guy every week. Get out of here, Frank.
When they still had power for the electric fence after like 20 years, I was like,
Yeah, no, it's not gonna happen.
Well, even him being able to go and turn the generator on or whatever.
Well,
I'm
Joel
like,
driving, like, yeah, because it's only about 10% gas. That's not how it works. It's water and gas. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
you're
that's
pouring
right.
water.
and forget about getting a new battery. Those things
Well,
run out.
yeah,
Where's
yeah,
your spark plugs?
He made a battery, remember?
Where's your oil filter?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of issues there. But again, it's the work.
Crankshaft.
In the game, there's a lot more horse riding.
There is.
There was a horse riding scene.
But there was some driving, and there would be
fine.
there would be some.
You would want to drive
It's
because you
alright.
presume it would attract the zombie mushroom people that aren't there.
Well, they're out in the woods. They're not really there, which kind of makes sense because they're attracted to where people are.
we
Yeah,
spend
and they
lots of
establish
time
it.
in several cities, and then
they also-
when
they're
you get
also-
with
they're not good
Derek's
with the
brothers,
cold.
they're like, oh, we can travel underground. There's no mushroom people. And they're right. There's
Yeah, that
no
was-
mushroom people. And it's like, oh, it's probably gonna be hard to get out of that city.
Yeah.
No,
Super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
There were some mushroom people under the city, though.
There were. Just not in that particular
They
area.
just kind of were in the giant mushroom orgy like we saw in episode 2.
Yeah, the plot shovel just kind of like.
Well,
I
episode 2,
would've
they're all
liked-
orgying together.
I would have
were.
liked a mushroom orgy scene all its own.
Yeah, we got one in episode
Focus
2.
just on.
It could
mushroom
have been
orgy.
like Avatar, but R-rated, where all the tendrils
Tendrils come together. Yeah. And that's how you get the Rat King.
It actually would have been brilliant to do a mushroom person story where they do nothing but follow a tireless mushroom person
like a
through their
BoJack
mushroom
episode.
person life.
Yeah. It'd be like a very BoJack Horseman episode.
That'd
So-
have been
so
cool.
my-
And then Joel kills that mushroom person right at the end, and you're like, oh, he had a life.
So
though."
when they were talking about doing a John Wick show on Stars, I was like, you know what they should do? They should have an entire season follow. It was going to be like people at the
yeah.
Continental. I was like, they
Yes.
should have an entire season following these assassins going around the Continental, doing their assassin things, and then the season finale is just John Wick killing them all.
That would have been awesome.
They should have a whole episode about nothing but the dog. And you just
Yeah,
follow
but
the dog.
so my real question is, what the hell are they going to do with season 2?
So you've not played the game, but
And I won't.
and this will be spoilers for anyone who's played the second game. It's not great in terms of narrative. It was a
Oh, I loved it.
I don't know. They kind of go backwards on a few things. They make Ellie sound confused that Joel lied to her, even though it's very clear she understood that at the end of the first game.
Well, I think she's kind of confused why. She's been going over it in her head why over and over.
Still, and then I don't know. The death of Joel's not handled particularly well. Spoilers. Yeah, I already said spoilers.
Dude should have died. a million
I thought it
times.
was handled very well.
I didn't like it at all. The second game is frustrating for me because there are parts of it I liked, and then there are parts of it I just really did not like.
The second game were fantastic. Either way, who cares about that? Because what are they going to do with season 2?
Season 2 is going to be not based on the game. I think we'll probably get like a Cheyenne season with Joel and Ellie, and if they do a third season, that'll be where they kill him. I think what they'll do is
They'll try to do 3. They'll try to do 3. I would drag it out.
yeah.
Because I mean, that was one of my points. Was are they just going to do the second season, the second game, and then just
No.
call it a day
I
after
kind of
like 2?
imagine.
No, I can't imagine.
Well, they
They said
might-
they're fast tracking the development of season 2. So if I were them, I would do like a bridge between.
They might try to do a Game
Remember,
of
it's like 5
Thrones,
years.
right?
It's like 5 years or
Where
whatever.
they're trying to
Yeah.
invent stuff after. He might die early in season 3, and you might get an Ellie solo.
You would think that's how that game works, but it's not. You end up playing as the Gigantor woman who kills Joel for half the game too, and it's
Tell me
terrible.
more
You're not
about
gonna
this Gigantor woman.
She's like super muscular and ripped.
I'm here
You'd
for it.
love her.
People were
strong.
saying that
You're
she's
good at
impossible. People were saying she's impossibly strong, and yet at one point they say
No, she's fine.
no. At one point she brags like, well, she doesn't brag, but the guy's like, "Hey, how you doing on like the weights?" And she goes, "I pushed 185 the other day."
Yeah.
And to me that says like she got one rep of 185, which is it's strong. But it's
Fine.
not.
Yeah.
But it's not like that. That isn't woman's record.
I
That
think the-
isn't like
No.
My biggest complaint
But it is
about
good
her,
for-
about
Yeah,
the way
it's
they.
good. It's very good.
But here's the thing: in that game too, they build her fighting style around her punching zombies, punching the infected. She's punching them in the mouth with her
Sick.
bare fists.
I mean,
Scrape up. Game.
I mean, give her some gloves. I mean, that's the game's
They're just,
fault. But you
yeah,
give
it
her
is
some,
the game's fault. That's why I'm saying the game is. There are
gauntlets.
parts I like. There's a lot
Joel
of.
is constantly punching them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they shouldn't be punching them anyways.
Sure. What we need is the season 2 episode where Ellie's riding in the car on acid and looks over at Pedro like when the man who's escorting you across the country lied about killing 20 people, and then Pedro looks over smiling. Play your own kind of music.
So I don't know. I think we'll probably get a season where it'll bridge, and then season 3 will be more like the second game. That's what I think. Because otherwise, they're done.
I don't think it has that much legs.
Also, I don't know if
Be done.
I don't-
Do
no,
2
they're
or
already
3
doing
seasons and
second
be
season,
done.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I-
then be done.
I don't know. The second season, there's
You rung way more story than you seem to have actually available to you.
yeah. I don't know. I didn't like I said. There's some stuff in the second game that's pretty neat, but there's a lot of it that I felt was unnecessary, and it was just long. It's too long at times. So, but it was fun to play, man. The gameplay mechanics were tight in that one. So even though I really didn't care much for the story, it was always fun to play. The ending's a bit much. The fist fight in the beach. Yeah. I don't know. Hopefully they change some things. I do. I hope they change some things. Like, it's got room for improvement. That's for sure. I think so.
I don't know if I would run out and watch the second season. I mean, if they push me to do another video, maybe I would. But
I don't know.
I didn't even want you here.
So, that's all the time we have for this. Stay tuned for...
go get your car.
Someone's got to do it.
All right. I tried to give an outro, but YouTube... And that's going to be the hard cut.
That's going to be the hard cut.
Well, now if I explain it, I think this will be the hard cut.
That's going to be the second hard cut.
This joke won't work a third time.